Would an amazing game be made worse if it had a horrible music direction? And does music matter to your gaming experience? But before we get started, let's hear from our affiliate of the week. Sam?
Thanks, guys. Our affiliate of the podcast this week is Player One Coffee Labs. Ever needed a pick me up for an extra long raid? Need some extra juice to beat the next boss? Ever needed a shock to help you hit the next level? Well, look no further. Player One Coffee Labs provides coffee for gamers by gamers. With awesome brand names like Leroy Jenkins and First Person Smoother, you are sure to enjoy Player One coffee. Player One also allows you to save a bit and support the podcast at the same time. Just head to our website, scroll to the bottom of the page, and select the Player One link. This way, you get a 5% discount, and Gaming and Chill gets a portion of your purchase in return as well. Thanks, Player One Coffee Labs. Back to you guys.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Uncle Sam here
And it's Mish.
with the Gaming and Chill podcast, getting ready to go ahead and start episode 70, which, as you have already been introduced to, is going to be about gaming soundtracks. But before we get started, let's go ahead and take a look at our YouTube roundup for the week. So the first video we have is the secret letter of language design. And we have to point out, you have to turn on the English subtitles for it, because I was
Unless you
sent
speak Spanish.
because I was sent the video and I didn't know what I was listening to for the first 5 minutes, because I'm like, why did Doug send this to me? But what were your thoughts on that video, Micah?
It is definitely, it does definitely have a twist on letters how you wouldn't think of it before. Like, you've always expected it, but it was never, like, really described or, like, kind of just talked about in this way. Like, you look at a thing, and you see words on the thing, and then you expect it to be that thing. For instance, in any type of, like, spoof product, like, the Shocking Gum or whatever,
Yeah.
the text and everything looks like the real thing. It may say, like, fruit gum or cinnamon, the same look, and that's really what this video is about, is the secret language of letter design.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, right now in front of me, I have a deck box from Ultra Pro. This is not sponsored by them. It's sponsored by our affiliate, who we've already spoke about. So the deck box has very specific script on the very front of it, and it looks like what you would expect some type of Magic the Gathering deck or some type of, like, fantasy deck would look like because of the script that is used, and that's the whole thing that she talks about in this video.
Yeah. It's basically a, I guess, text or graphic designer. I don't know what her official font designer looks at when they go through and they create a certain font for that one. Like, for example, the stencil font. I call it the stencil font because that's what Microsoft Word calls it. But, like, that military, like, spray paint on logo, whenever I see that, that just reminds me of, hey, in kind of more of an industrial, oh man, this is some important information you might want to look at, or it's just the basic information you need, whether that's, hey, warning, or hey, look, this box contains this much, and that's literally all you need to know. But, I thought it was kind of interesting seeing her draw it, and of course, seeing just different ways that you can portray just an idea or a thought with letters. However, we will have to give you a warning. The F-bomb is written out, but she doesn't say it out loud, so you shouldn't.
Well, she, yeah, words speak. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the other thing is, like, everyone has seen those calligraphy videos on YouTube.
Oh,
where
yeah.
they, like, write the Adidas logo, or they write calligraphy in, like, super nice font. And there's even, like, a robot, I don't know if it's called Scribebot or something, but it's basically a CNC machine hooked up to a calligraphy pen, and it's able to do these intricate patterns and make everything look perfect. I mean, it's actually, like, that's what you expect, like Adidas. Of course, you can picture the Adidas logo in your mind right now.
Yep.
Or you can picture, what's another good one?
The Nike swoosh.
Well, that's a logo.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
like, this is more, like, specifically on letters. And so I have a calligraphy pen set, and it's super difficult to do all those letters. And I even have a wood burning set with calligraphy tips. and that may be featured in another video on the channel. But it comes to a point where you're just like, this doesn't look right because it's not in the right font.
I would have to agree. Well, anytime I try and draw anything, I literally
Well, of course,
look,
Sam.
I look like a doctor because everybody's like, "Oh, hey, did a 3-year-old write this?"
But what level of doctor? Are you on, like, American doctor or, like, Chinese doctor or, like, Russian
I'm
doctor?
gonna say maybe a dentist level because that's I've been told that's the easiest.
So I give you nationalities and you go to dentist.
I mean, I don't want to be or sound racist, but it's like, oh, what's the easiest doctorate to get? Apparently, from a friend in high school, he used to tell me that the dentist, or to get a doctorate in, I guess, dentistry was the easiest way to go. But hey,
Disclaimer, this has not been researched prior to the show.
No, it is not.
All of you, please put in the comments how wrong he is, and I will just clap along as I see them.
Actually, all the dentists that I know are really awesome people, so... All right, well, moving on, we also have the...
Yeah, if we ever get doctorates, Sam, we won't be the doctors that help people.
Yeah, I know, right? So we have next up, like, this bombshell that came out a few weeks ago, the first look at the Nintendo Labo. What is your thoughts about that?
So this is what I've always expected with the Switch.
Oh, really?
Now, of course, Nintendo has always moved towards, like, hey, let's get people active. They did that first in the Wii, and then, of course, PlayStation copied it, and Xbox put out their Kinect. I don't know the exact time frame between those, but the Wii was the first real system that you, quote-unquote, had to get up and move for.
Yeah.
They had Wii Fit. They had all types of, like, just get up and move. I forget what else specifically, but they've always been in this object, and Japanese mentality has always been keep moving, keep active, don't just sit around all day. I mean, they even, I don't know if this is quite accurate, but they even have like nap breaks at work where they know that, hey, if my workers aren't vitalized, if they aren't moving, if they aren't interested in what they're doing, we're not going to have good quality work. So they have those two mentalities of you either need rest or you need to be energized. And that's what they kind of brought with the Wii to the Wii U and now to the Switch. And there's going to be plenty of things coming out, including Nintendo Labo, for the Switch that will honestly change the game of gaming. I am a maker at heart. I love making things. And as soon as I got my Switch, I was immediately like, okay, what can I do with the Switch to change the game of how the Switch does? Oh. And honestly, some of the ideas that were in the Labo, that was some things that I thought of. I was like, it'd really be cool if I could like have like a robot suit to really feel like I'm a robot smashing things. Or it's also taking VR and putting it into the hands of those who desire VR.
Yeah.
But instead of having this huge thing strapped to your face, it's right in front of you.
Nice. Yeah, actually, random fact, I don't know if Doug got a chance to tell you, he's already pre-ordered the robot kit. Now, the thing that's really funny about this is that after he ordered the kit, because it comes with the game, and then apparently the cardboard pieces you need to create the backpack or whatever it is. But apparently, according to Reddit, and this could be completely wrong, and also it was like a Reddit France clip, so you can't really trust the French, but they said that Nintendo's actually going to be giving out the templates that you can print off your own. So Doug and I are thinking, it's like, well, why do it with cardboard when I can make it with vinyl
or plywood?
Yeah,
and be a real like robot guy.
Exactly. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. The toy piano looked like a very interesting concept as well that they had there, but they didn't have anything else other than that. But Doug went ahead. I think you can pre-order on Amazon for like $70 or something like that for the device, and it comes with the game. But the game's supposed to be sold separately, but we will see however that turns out. But I just wonder now with that if they're going to allow more developers to develop games for them with kits of that same nature.
Well, and that's the thing. If they don't, they're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like, there will be people out there saying, hey, look, this is what I've done for Nintendo Labo. and it's compatible with this certain game. Here's the free files to download this and get it cut or get it printed or whatever yourself. So if Nintendo doesn't take hold of that and just lets people just do whatever they want to, they're missing out on business because they could trademark the ideas and buy the ideas from the creators, put back into their community what they've taken, not meaning like they've taken our lives or anything, but like you understand completely what I mean. And it's like the person who created the fidget spinner. They had a wonderful idea, and they just weren't wise enough to get it trademarked before everyone else did.
Yeah.
And so with the Labo, if Nintendo doesn't say, hey, we will partner with you if you want to dev these things, they're going to miss out on A, the business, and B, realize that there's plenty of people out there who can design this stuff and would love to have a chance to speak into Nintendo's company as a whole.
Well, I'm really interested to see like how much of these will sell like immediately, or what the actual count is as of today. Because my thought was that we were going to go through and make a video on, after we get the official version, if they do give out the schematics, we're going to try and make them with different things like recycled cardboard or with plywood, like you were saying, and see which one is easiest and which one lasts longer.
And the very final test will be who's can stand up in a robot fight.
In a robot fight, got it.
Where we fight each other.
Got it.
Dibs on the quarter-inch steel.
Dibs. So, with that being said, was there anything else you wanted to add about that design? I'm really looking forward to it and really hoping for a couple of other cool game previews.
Yeah, I mean, people have been designing 3D printable accessories for the Switch already. It's only been out since March of last year. To me, the people who have Nintendo are more on that line of creative. Like, these are the people who grew up with Nintendo. These are the people who video games has expanded their mind to things that maybe people who didn't play video games when they were younger don't think about. Different mechanics that they've already learned. And honestly, these 3D printable Switch designs are improving the Switch so much that the Labo probably came from thinking about those designs and capitalizing on those. Like, hey, these people are making attachments. Let's do that ourselves and perfect it and then send it out for the people, the general public, the people who don't have access to the 3D printer can access.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of off topic.
Nah, well, if it's off topic, let's go ahead and navigate to our main topic, which is...
There we go.
I was about to say, you like that? Which is... Transition here. Would an amazing game be made worse if it had a horrible music direction? So, basically, just music matter to you and your gaming experience. So, since both of us were started out as music majors...
Yeah. Music is definitely a very dear thing to I think a lot of people, but specifically to us, being the fact that we were willing to go into music as a career. And we still kind of are in that career path. But really, I was listening in the radio, yeah. The other day I was in a car with a friend and a song came on. And this isn't quite video game, but it is kind of along the same lines. And I was listening to the song and I was like, I know this song. And I kept listening to it. And I was like, I know. What song is this? And he was like, oh, it's la-di-da-di-da, XYZ. And I was like, no, this has to be from this show I watched. And he's like, no, it wasn't from that show because I watched that show too and it wasn't in that show. It's like, it's gotta be from some, like, it was just right there in the top of my head. And I couldn't tell you what it was, but as soon as I started to hear the song, I started to feel happy. And, like, I started to, like, enjoy listening to it again, as in, like, man, it's gotta be back. Like, I am enjoying what I previously enjoyed when I heard this song. And I had looked it up right before the show, and it was actually the outro to Hunter x Hunter. And
Hmm.
I had watched that my freshman year in high school or college, and I loved it so much. And I was like, "What song is that?" And I was like, "It's got to be the outro to Hunter x Hunter." And I looked it up, and right here we'll insert just a little snippet of "Just Awake," which is by Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Um, it is a fantastic song, and it brought back all of the memories of the show. And if that wasn't at the end of the show, I would not have those same memories of this song. So not only does the song give to the video game or media, the video game gives it a song.
Oh,
So
agreed.
like every time now that I hear any type of Metroid theme, I'm immediately thrown back to Metroid Fusion, which we may have gameplay on the channel, but my emulator keeps resetting, so it may not.
May
But
not.
it keeps going back to Metroid Fusion and the hours and hours I put into that game, and without that musical cue in my own mind away from the game, I would have had no idea why that music was going on, or even what even the music was.
Fair. See, for me, I remember the first time I bought a game soundtrack was the original Halo soundtrack.
Hey, you told me not to buy Halo Guardians.
Well, that's because it's not
It
Halo.
still had the main title.
Okay, it's not the same. But the chanting monks in the background, like that song, the first time you hear it, it's like, oh, okay. Or when you're going through and getting ready to land on the silent cartographer, and it has that like rock intro where it's like da 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 da, and you're like, oh man,
Da-da-da-da.
we're gonna go through and we're gonna like wreck some people. And then at the very end, also with the flood, when you're running around, you're like the music starts
Oh,
picking up,
please don't talk about the flood.
and you're just like, oh no.
I'm
But
pretty sure that music could still cause panic attacks in my heart.
see, now that was one soundtrack that just because I played a lot of Halo, and I mean I played a lot of Halo when on the original Xbox because I got the Halo Edition Xbox when it came out. But just that soundtrack stayed with me. So anytime you hear it, it's like I know exactly where that came from. That and then another big one is any of the Final Fantasy or Metal Gear Solid soundtracks.
Oh yeah, if anyone you know has Final Fantasy has ever played it once, if you just play one song around them, they just start freaking out.
But it's one of those things where even Final Fantasy style Kingdom Hearts, like the Kingdom Hearts games that went through and they tied in even Disney or like kind of the Disney feel in their music as well. Every time I hear that soundtrack, I'm like, oh, why do we still not have another Kingdom Hearts game? But hopefully it'll come out soon, you know?
Hey, we can always hope.
But what, like, for example, what game do you think would be completely different if it didn't have a soundtrack with it? Like, or had a just awful soundtrack?
I'm just gonna go with the classic Super Mario.
Yeah, no, everybody knows the Super Mario song. If they don't, you're just like, what rock have you been living under?
Exactly, and like, of course, it's been such a big thing for so long. Like Mario itself has been such a big thing for so long that whatever music that would have been put with it would have made it. But looking back now, if someone tried to play Super Mario with a different soundtrack to it, you'd start punching them. That's what would happen.
I feel like we have to now go through and have like a clip of Super Mario with just some random soundtrack in the background. Just like, what in the world
Like
is
soft
this?
piano music or something.
That or like a dubstep remix. It's like, this is not the right one.
Well, we got to be careful with remixes though, because some of those are pretty good.
Oh, yeah, some of them are. But as far as I would say developers go, I think Nintendo takes the record for some of the best soundtracks that I know of. Bethesda has some pretty decent ones. I'm not going to say they're great, but I'm trying to think of like anybody I know of that their soundtracks are just pretty awful. Nope, I know who it is. EA. I was thinking
Got
about
him.
that. No, I was thinking about that. Like Call of Duty games and stuff like that. If they ever had music, it's like, Call of Duty has never stood out to me as like music, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
it was all about the storyline, where they did a pretty decent storyline in the first three, but it was a matter of the gameplay more than it was the actual music itself. But it does feel kind of lacking.
Well, and here's the other thing: Nintendo has a history with their music.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they didn't just like in the new Mario game, they didn't just throw in new Mario music because they could. Like it's all based off the original Mario music.
I wonder if there's like a documentary out there about Nintendo music. Mike is looking this up
Probably.
right now.
I mean, I'm not looking it up, but
Hmm. But I'm trying to think of a game that just would have been completely useless without a soundtrack. Probably the Mass Effect game.
Dance Dance Revolution.
Well, yeah, that's because hey, I used to have the actual like arcade foot what were they?
The big metal box.
Yeah, you bet I did. Used to go through and used to
I mean, I thought I was a cool kid having a little vinyl mat that you could sit down.
we had the metal box, and I still can't dance unless I have a screen in
Well,
front of me.
I wouldn't expect you to be able to, even if you could.
Yeah, that's true. My genetics kind of make that impossible.
Anyways, with DDR, short side story here. My brother and I had it for the Wii, and the one song on it that we could never beat was Tootsie Roll. And we got to the point where we had every other song aced in the hardest difficulty, but Tootsie Roll would still never happen. Like we would always just mess up, fail out, do whatever. But we both took. I took the bottom and the right. He took the top and the left, and we looked at the screen. And instead of using our feet, we used our hands, and we played it like bongos. We were just like, okay, we got this, and we aced it like that. We like 100 point or 1,000 pointed the entire game. It was wonderful, and I've never felt bad.
Never felt bad about it.
No, never once.
I'll remember that. It's like, what did we get Mish for Christmas? Oh, we got him.
Please don't.
We got him Dance Dance Revolution. The only
No.
game, or only song on repeat is Tootsie Roll.
Yeah, no.
So overall, do
But
you think?
sorry, going back to that game though.
Yeah.
Like every time we touch,
Oh, I remember
like
that.
everyone remembers that. Like that is a huge thing that like literally anyone over the age of probably 14, not over the age of 16 probably, knows that song and has flashbacks to like in their gym in their PE class whenever they brought in the DDR machine. And they're just like, "Oh man, I know this song." Or they just start freaking out dancing because it like it causes the person inside of you to dance.
The Cascada effect, we'll call
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So, does music matter to you in your gaming experience? Do you find yourself with the music on, cranking up the music, or turning off the music?
It really depends on the soundtrack. Of course, we're talking about games with great soundtracks, but then again, there are some of those soundtracks that are just not worth trying to even think about listening to while you're playing the game. Doug and I have played Universal Paperclips at work multiple times. There comes to a certain point. If you haven't played Universal Paperclips, it's just a clicker game, but it's got like 3 levels and like logic and everything behind it. But if you have not played it, maybe click away just a little bit. But there's a step in the game where you can eventually start investing your glory or your valor. It's valor. You invest your valor into something to create creativity. Well, in doing that, one of them is a just an MP3 file that starts playing an absolutely horrible, like obvious electronic, tried to be some type of like just ethereal music. And I can't play that game with that music on. A, because I'm at work and we have to answer phones. But B, it's the worst music I have ever heard.
I'm trying to think of the worst music in a game that I've ever played. Let me pull up my gameplay list here.
Yeah.
Because
I think with like scary games as well. If we go ahead and just do ambient things.
Oh
Now
yeah.
I absolutely hate scary games. I will not play them except for Depth, but Depth is kind of fun.
Depth is just
Um,
that one where you're just like, oh
yeah.
my gosh.
But I'd rather not have ambience if it's going to distract me from what's going on.
That's fair. Now, the thing about it, though, is like with the Resident Evil games, at least the ones that I've played, it adds so much more to that, especially when you're going around. It's like, I hear something, or the music changes, and you're like, something's coming.
Well, and that's the other thing with the music changing. Like, you know you're gonna about to stumble upon a boss when the music goes from nice little violin music to like tubas. Like you know you're about to face a boss.
That is fair. Um, Gosh, like all the games that I have pretty decent soundtracks. I'm looking at them now. Um, I mean, Company of Heroes is pretty epic. Um, one that gets on my nerves, but it's not bad, is Counter Strike because you literally can't control the volume of it.
Yeah.
It's like every time I turn it down, it's like, oh, sorry, you wanted that turned down? Let me turn it up to level 11. But
Hmm.
that's about it. But I would say overall, um,
Any game that's like just simple, do this, do that, whatever, and it has like just a repetitive soundtrack to it, that at a certain point gets old. Like, for instance, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. We have a little bit of this content somewhere, but there's towards the end of the bomb, like it obviously ramps up the music, but the problem is that it does the same music every single time.
yeah. And to be fair, I guess they may have designed it like that because it's
Right,
kind of what a
and it did.
distraction.
Yeah, it's obviously it's not a glitch in the matrix. It's obviously a design, but eventually after you do one or two rounds of it, you're just like, yeah, we hear the music going on. And at that point, it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna turn off the music and just do whatever I want to.
Oh, yeah. But I think that one of the things about music is that the artists that put their time and effort into it, like the orchestra that helped out with the Halo soundtracks, anybody with the Final Fantasy soundtracks, just I feel like they're very underappreciated. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of people in the gaming community that are like, yeah, I'll buy this soundtrack for you, but they never buy any of their other music, which is really depressing because it's like, oh man, this guy did this. It's like, oh, that's what they're known for. When in reality, it's like, hey, this guy also made this great classical piece over here, but it's like, oh, I only know him from the Final Fantasy, but it's your Final Fantasy soundtrack, and you're like, oh, well, maybe we should support him in other things too, but at the same time,
Yeah, like if I hear a great song from a soundtrack, I will go and get that song.
oh yeah,
And like I will make sure to like pay homage to whoever designed it. Um and same thing goes with movies. If movies had a different soundtrack as well, they would be worthless. Interstellar, for instance. If Interstellar did not have Hans Zimmer and Hans Zimmer's breakthrough of using the organ in that movie, it would have been completely different.
I think that that's probably one of the only redeeming factors in that movie for me personally.
Hey,
But
okay, there's some good gifts that come out of it too, and it's an interesting concept to think about, Sam.
it is an interesting concept. It was just
Respect the
that it was a
design of the
really
movie,
the
Sam.
only thing was that it was so long. It's such a long
Hey,
movie.
I will watch that movie on repeat because it just like you could watch it on repeat.
All right. Well, any final words you want to talk about until we move on to our weekly challenge?
Go ahead and comment any type of like great soundtrack so I can go listen to it because I need suggestions on what to listen to. I've kind of ran out of just things to add on. And no, we will not play Freebird, so you can not have to comment that.
Yeah, comment below or go ahead and shoot us an email. We'd love to go through and send you guys the feedback of why did you make us listen to this, or man, you got a really good ear for music. Time, pitch, meter. We'll go ahead and we'll
Sure.
we'll
Yeah.
see what we got. So, moving on to our weekly challenge. How has moving into the content creation field changed the way you look at your surroundings? That's an interesting one.
Is that something we're supposed to answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if that's a challenge to our listeners. Um, so I've always kind of been a creator at heart. When I was younger, I took things apart that I shouldn't have. I put things back together that I took apart because I shouldn't have taken them apart in the first place. But I've always been like a very technical mind of why does this work like this, and just enjoy creating something. In sixth grade, I was introduced to Vex Robotics, and that changed my life because I realized that I could create something that didn't previously exist. And about the same time, I was also shotgunned into music, and both music and that technical thought of just doing things with my hands. It's always been a creative thing, and then like finally becoming that content creator where I'm actually, I don't want to say like giving worth to what I'm doing at the time, but just at least documenting or posting what I made or what I'm working on. Has kind of shown me just the fact that as a creator, we don't necessarily have to create content for other people. Like obviously we want it to be seen by other people, but it's the fact that A, it's a resource to use in the future if we ever run into another issue, but B, it's something that someone else could use in the future. Whether that be that I show how to put together a Tesla coil, or I just go to town on how to take apart a printer. Someone may need to know how to get a paper piece out of their printer and get it unjammed. And so, content creation has moved more from doing it for myself to doing it for whoever may need it in the future. And it doesn't bring more validity, or it doesn't take away validity if nobody watches it. If everyone watches it, it doesn't give me more achievement. It just shows me that yes, whatever I was using has been, and whatever I was doing has been used for someone else's life and to better someone else's experience.
I hear you there. Yeah, for me, the biggest thing with content creation is going through and realizing and appreciating how much effort is put into everything else around you. So, for example, any YouTuber that you watch out there that you subscribe to, or any podcast you listen to, it's like, yeah, that's some great information. You don't really think about how much time and effort, but especially in the last couple of months when we've teamed up with Derek and Doug, just the idea of balancing schedules, putting different like things in there. It's like, oh, well, we have to record this and we have to edit this as well. It's like, well, when will that be released? You almost have to re-examine your entire time balance around this because you don't want it to, even though it's something that's fun and it's like, I get up in the day and think, man, it'd be really fun and really cool if we could do this, and we can do that. The only thing is that it's like, hey, am I also neglecting any other responsibility that I have, whether that's with my
Right.
family, whether that's with my work, anything else along those lines. But I feel like in the last couple of months, we've developed a couple of systems and found out that really content creation is always a growing experience because
Mm-hmm.
you're always finding a better way to do it, an easier way to do it. Because, you look at guys like the King of Random or for the slow mo guys, probably one of those videos takes them almost an entire week or more in order to make. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
And
Well,
even smaller YouTubers out there who don't have a team, it takes so much longer.
oh, yeah, and they have to have the same
'Cause
skills. Like, we have Derek who does our editing primarily for
yeah,
us, and he does
and
such
that
a
is
great job.
wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. That saves so much time to be able to say, hey, this is done. He knows his field a lot better than I know my field, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I finished it, send it to him, he finishes it, we all give the final approval and it goes forward instead of I do it, edit, listen to it, I beat myself up over how I made it sound, I redo it again, or anything else along those lines. So
Mm-hmm.
overall, it's been nice to work with a team as well as to just have some more structure in everything that you do. So anybody that's out there that does content creation, we understand your pain, because some days it's like, wow, I feel like I didn't get anything done, and other days it's like, this will never end and it'll never amount to anything, is what you
Mhm.
tell yourself. But just don't give up. Hang in there. We all feel you.
Yeah, and the fact that it's helpful to have other people maybe just to wear a hat.
Oh yeah.
Like Derek is a big editing force on our team. Um and we didn't necessarily ask him just to do editing, because he still does other things also. But he like Sam said, he is an amazing editor. He throws in jokes whenever he wants to. I'm sure there will be little things flashing onto the screen periodically through this point in time. But like he took that hat and wore it, and he's wearing it, and he wears it well. It's not it's not misshapen on his head. It's not anything weird on his head. It's a perfect hat for him to wear, because he also has a family,
Oh yeah.
and sometimes he has his daughter around. And when his daughter's around, he can't necessarily record voiceover video.
Well, it's
And so at the time when his daughter's around, he can edit and not have to worry about neglecting his daughter, because he can step away from the computer, be like, "Hey, what do you need help with? How can I be your father today? How can I love on you today?" And when his daughter goes to bed, he can go back, or whenever she's taking a nap or watching your show, he can come back and keep editing.
yeah, and he can always
It's
be a husband to Joe Ennis without having to worry about anything coming
exactly.
up.
And when Sam's child comes, he may have to back further away from actual like making videos or whatever, but I'm sure there's another hat somewhere in Gaming and Chill that he can wear. And Doug writes literally everything that we say on the channel.
That literally everything that we're looking at right now, Doug has assembled and done a great job with.
Doug is the king of writing scripts, writing timelines, writing suggestions for things. And without him, we wouldn't have the D&D that we have, that you will eventually see, or you've already seen. And honestly, without the team, I'm just kind of sitting here recording things periodically, because I have work all the time, so that's why I can't be on the podcast. But while I'm just playing my games, I can do voiceover, because I don't have a family right now.
Well,
So I do have a family. They all live somewhere else. But
the way that you made that sound was just like, I don't have a family.
hey,
Well-
I'm the most eligible bachelor of Gaming Chill. There's that plug. Love me.
But the way that
But I
you
can-
said that happened is like a horrible mistake. It's like, we don't talk about what happened to Micah's family. He's finally opening up, guys. He's got to talk about this.
No, so like I have that time to be able to just record hours upon hours of gameplay when I want to. And I work 32 hours a week. I come home, and now that we're able to take care of certain things at work, and I can do homework at work, it frees up more time for me to record more games at home. So like Overwatch, PUBG, anything on the Xbox that I want to record. I have that ability because I don't have to use all my time to go back and edit what I've already done.
I just realized the way that we describe our work is it sounds like we don't do anything.
Yeah.
Guys, we promise we do work. It's just a matter of the nature of our job is there's a lot of downtime in between things, so please don't get the idea.
Oh, I thought you said we don't do anything on the channel. Of course we do things.
Of course
at our
we do
job.
things. It's just that I realized that we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, Doug, and then Derek and I, we were talking about like our jobs, and it's like, man, it sounds like we don't do anything.
Derek does a lot at his job. What are we doing wrong?
But no, seriously, whenever it comes through, the one thing I appreciate and the way that I take a look at kind of our environment here at Gaming and Chill is that it's a team effort, and we can't do it all without each other's help. I mean, Doug's writing, Derek's editing, going through, and Micah, in case nobody has heard. By the way, this is Micah. I know that he's been on the podcast once, but everybody knows me.
This is my post-Battlefront 2 debut.
Yes. But as far as everything goes, Micah goes through and finds just different technical helps, like our tag system. He found a way to change our tags around and bring up a lot of more efficiency when it comes to just social media navigation.
Well, and all of that's come from a job in the past.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
everything that most of us do has come from positions we've held in the past. I was a content writer for an internet storefront, and so in that I learned how to write in HTML, how to do um, concise content write-ups, and how to tag things to where Google will actually find it. And so implementing that here, it's wonderful because when I came in, it wasn't really happening. Um, so in being able to add that to the team, I've kind of earned a little bit of the bread that I eat. Uh,
That and Micah also buys 90% of the pizza that we eat.
yeah, 90 to 95. Let's be real.
Let's be more
Um,
realistic, yeah.
but like I also add a new side to it where gaming and chill was games and things like that, but now that we've added more to gaming and chill, we're able to have more content. For instance, I've just bought a musical Tesla coil. I bought a kit for that, and you guys will see a build video of a musical Tesla coil and see it work. And that's something that working together and something that being able to just sit and create content and not have to worry about listening to yourself for another 6 hours after you've already recorded the 2 hours of video. That's something that's great to have as a team and to have as what gaming and chill is becoming.
Also, another thing that I would like to add to this is that one thing that I've realized is that every good channel has its dedicated followers and viewers. Because without them, everybody.
No, Sam, we can't mention them.
Why can't we mention them?
It's breaking the fourth wall.
Breaking the fourth wall. Well, let's
Now,
break
Sam's
the fourth
right.
wall.
You guys are what makes this channel. If you guys were not there, if we didn't have our dedicated followers, it would just be me and Sam talking to each other for like an hour, and going crazy because Sam would literally just be talking, and I'd have to listen to him, and it would not be fun. But like because we like I said earlier, we don't feel value in what we do. We know that intrinsically our value is in our person, not in what we create. But knowing that we're able to give you viewing pleasure or listening pleasure encourages us to continue doing it, which we have to thank you guys for.
Oh, yeah. Support through just sharing our content or even commenting, because we always love to hear the feedback. Especially if you're a content creator. If you have any suggestions or just have any questions as well, please feel free to comment. I know that the whole team appreciates that.
Definitely.
All right. Now, moving forward to the gaming news section. Player Unknown's Battlegrounds on the podcast again, which, I like PUBG. It's a very interesting duck. I'm not very good at it. I mean, as far as we go through, I still haven't won and gotten the chicken dinner yet. Have you?
No.
Okay, so we're about we're still, we can get in the top 10, but I never get past that, it seems. But apparently, after the 1.0 launch that we covered, looks like that PUBG has been cracking down on cheaters. They have threatened that have been able to identify over 100,000 instances of a new pattern related to the use of a cheat, and basically are claiming that all people who have used this cheat will be banned in a single wave. So
It'll be great.
yeah, it'll be great.
It'll be like the Rapture, but for bad people.
Okay, do you remember years ago World of Warcraft that site-wise banned for using bots?
That was great.
So many people lost their accounts.
Were you one of those people?
No, I was not. My friend was, and he bought my account from me because he was that
Nice.
desperate to get it. That's basically what got me out of World of Warcraft, actually. My friend's like, I will pay you $150 right now in order to get your account. I'm like, sure.
Why not?
Got the
Meanwhile, World of Warcraft is listening, and they're going to find Sam's old account and ban it for sale.
it's cool. But as far as it goes through, it hasn't happened yet. So I'm wondering if it's all talk or just what'll happen, because there's a video. IGN covered this as well, because PUBG released their statement and like their development blog, but IGN had video clips of this dude like teleporting and like shooting people from across the map with a shotgun and
Nice.
taking them out. It's like
Yo,
obviously
that's some accuracy right there.
that guy is he's
6
good.
inch spread at 20 feet? Nah, bruh.
Nah, bro, we got this. But it'll be interesting to see what comes on. They're also going to be changing the blue wall a little bit, the blue zone balance adjustment. So
thank
slightly
goodness.
decreased shrinking speed of the blue zone in the mid to late phase. So
Hey, we're finally gonna get a chicken dinner now.
yeah, now that we don't die because of the blue wall. But that's that. So we'll keep you posted on anything that comes up with that one. But moving on to movie news, there's some interesting information that you can go ahead and cover this one, Mike.
Yeah, so Disney hired the director from 28 Weeks Later for the live-action remake of Sword in the Stone.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept. It wasn't Guillermo del Toro, which I was kind of frustrated with when I saw it. But Juan Carlos Fresnadillo is going to be directing it. He was the one who directed, of course, 28 Weeks Later. Did you ever watch 28 Weeks Later?
I watched 28 Days Later. I didn't get a chance to see 28 Weeks.
Yeah, so it's a zombie movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so number one, Sword in the Stone was probably my second favorite Disney film, right behind dang it.
Apparently it wasn't that
one.
favored.
I know what I'm thinking in my mind. We'll throw up a little picture here. And if I don't tell him what picture, he has full liberty to say what my favorite movie was.
The Swan
But
Princess.
if I send him what movie I want put up there, he has to put it up there. That's the deal. But Sword in the Stone was easily my second. It was the Robin Hood. Robin Hood was my favorite Disney movie. Sword in the Stone was my second, and like I absolutely loved the movie. And my opinion of live action remakes is the fact that if I go to it and immediately I'm like, "What movie is this?" I do not want to watch it. Like if within the first 5 minutes, if I don't see remnants of the old movie, at least in the new one, I'm gone. I don't like it. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I definitely think that it's interesting because not only is it the 28 Weeks Later director, it's also the writer-producer from the Game of Thrones. His name is Brian Cogman. And he wrote the script.
It'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Along with Brigham Taylor from the Jungle Book, the recent Jungle Book producing. Of course, it's the original movie follows the magician Merlin mentoring a young King Arthur, and it was actually released by Disney before Disney's death. So it's a decently old film.
Oh yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how he does it, if it's like more of a horror story than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. And the the other thing that Disney is doing is it's the second of two Merlin films currently in development at Disney. Now I'm reading this from IGN's website. The other one is the Merlin Saga, which Sam will like this. Alien director Ridley Scott may helm that movie.
It's interesting. I don't know how I feel about these movies being directed by like sci-fi people. Like they're great directors though, and it shows that they can go through and they can branch out into different things. But hey, we'll see how it goes.
Right. Yeah.
Now going
So
on,
it'll be interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. It's The original release though was cool because it was actually released on Christmas Day in 1963. So that tells you how old it is.
Wow.
It's older than Sam and I combined.
Yes. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our releases this week. Night in the Woods for the Nintendo Switch is coming out. In case you guys haven't heard about Night in the Woods, it actually began as a Kickstarter a while back, and apparently, I'm trying to figure out what percentage they made. Well, they made 4 times what they had originally wanted. So instead of $50,000, they have $209,000 currently. But it is supposed to be released February 1st, so pick up a copy of it if you guys are interested in it, or if you guys...
If you have a Nintendo Switch. If you don't have a Nintendo Switch, definitely don't get it.
Well, it looks like that it's available for other platforms too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll take a look and see, because I'm showing that it is available for... I just want to confirm this. I may be wrong.
Yeah, it was cross-platform before now.
PC and PS4 as well.
Yeah.
But
don't get the Switch version if you don't have a Switch.
Exactly. Don't do that.
It looks like it's only going to be $20.
Yeah, not too bad.
So I'm sure you could go find a YouTuber playing it. And it definitely... I've watched some gameplay of it, and it's an interesting game. Yeah, it's interesting.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this week.
Thanks, guys. And thank you to all of our listeners out there, because we really couldn't do it without you. We hope you enjoyed this week's Gaming and Chill podcast. If you'd like to know more about the podcast, follow us on social media, or learn how to support the podcast directly, check us out at www.gamingandchillpodcast.com. Also, be sure to stay up to date with Gaming and Chill by following us on Twitter at gaming_in_chill. Yes, that is gaming_in as in Nancy _chill. You can also find links to the articles, games, and videos mentioned in this podcast in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.